The Nintendo Switch 2 and its pricing has been announced, and along with that, as with most if not all video game releases these days, there's been some controversy. I thought it'd be interesting to discuss just real quick about the different things surrounding the Switch 2. The Japanese version is only in the Japanese language. You have to have a Japanese Nintendo Switch account in order to set it up and use it. That's a pretty big drawback for just saving $100 for anyone outside of Japan. So it's made there. It makes sense. The main thing I wanted to discuss was not necessarily the cost of the console. However, if you look, it's cheaper in Japan, even from the day of release, maybe only by 30 or 40 bucks, but still. That's not the only price we've learned about, however. The price of the games seems to be anywhere from 70 to 90, depending on who you ask. $90 has not been really verified by anyone. It seems to have originated from Forbes and then just been ran with. In my opinion, the new 70 is the new 60, the new 80 is the new 70. What I mean by that is $80 games will be the exception. The $70 Tears of the Kingdom games, Mario Kart World being one of them, being open world, I imagine a lot went into that game. Therefore, $80 seems to be the new expected price. Donkey Kong's new outing in its 3D open world game is going to be $70, and that seems to be the new $60 price. The main question from a lot of people is why and how on earth Nintendo expects us to afford that. Realistically, game prices were $50 back in 2000, and the reason that matters and the reason I'm bringing it up is because today that would be $92.24. And I know what you're saying. Well, they were worth $60 not that long ago, so why the sudden jump? Well, the main reason I started here is because this was PS2 games. In 2006, when the PS3 came out, they jumped up to $60. And in 2006, $60 would have been worth about $94.54, slightly more. The reason that is relevant in today's discussion is because there are several discussions going on right now about how overpriced some games seem to be. That $90 price point doesn't make any sense. We should be paying more for games. We technically should be, but we should also be getting paid more. So it's kind of depending on who you ask, what answer you get and the perspective on it. I think something important to keep in mind is the fact that per hour of entertainment, video games have kind of always been the cheapest solution. I think it's only beaten out by reading if you use a library card. I'm not the first person to mention any of this. It's just an interesting thing to look at for just a second. And I think that if we keep that in mind, we're still on the low end of entertainment options out there, which is just kind of a cool thing in general to have be true, and we're lucky enough that it is true. So yeah, Nintendo game prices, what do you think? Do you think they're actually going to be 90? Do you think that was pulled from nowhere? My personal opinion is I think it was referenced by way of UK website. They took those prices, adjusted them to US, and it was around 80 for digital, 90 for physical. And for so many reasons, I can't see a $90 game price just suddenly showing up after we just shifted from 60 to 70 in what? 2022, 2021? Not that long ago. So it was $60 for way too long for us to suddenly be 70 to 80, if that makes any sense to anyone. So I don't know. I feel like 70 is the new 60, 80 is the new 70. That can make sense. The only problem is you just buy less games. For me personally, my Switch 2 and all Nintendo consoles have been Pokemon machines. It's primarily where I like to play my Pokemon games. They all connect with each other these days. It's really cool. Sending them all back and forth from different games up through the different games. But if you get Mario Kart World, the Switch 2 with Mario Kart World bundle, then you get the game for $50. That's $30 off the normal $80. And if you don't mind having a digital version of the game, some people are really picky about physical games, myself being one of them. However, Mario Kart World does seem to be a solid game to just have on your Switch at all times. If you look at the cartridges too, the cartridges will now have double the capacity, so they're going from 32 gigs to 64 gig. It's a faster cartridge because it has to be able to keep up with 4K being rendered out to TV when it's docked. So there's just a lot of reasons that it kind of makes sense, and I'm not looking forward to paying that price. However, I can't do anything about it except not buy as many games. If I don't buy as many games, or any for that matter, maybe Nintendo will notice. Realistically, people are going to buy what's on the shelf. Some people aren't even aware of this price change or that this pricing was announced. They just don't care. Like they have too much going on. Their day-to-day is happening. They see a Switch 2. Oh, I'll start saving up for that. Once they see it on shelves, they start saving up for it. They get it, and then they start saving up for a game at a time here and there. $60 games may be over, but that doesn't mean gaming is dead or that it's pricing people out. It's just finally slowly beginning to catch up with inflation. Hopefully our wages are next. I doubt it.